Welcome back, everybody. So we are back in the creation, well, technically not the creation yet, in test edit, X edit, to continue our work on the helmets. I've also just fixed the rift guards, which you can see here. Oh, let's see here. Yep, those are also broken. Using the wrong one. Rift guard gauntlets.
I wrote down a shopping list for you. It's on the fridge.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I did it on all three references. That is crazy. Alright, armor add-ons. I can't actually make the leveled item list because that requires you to link to the armors themselves, and I haven't done the armors. Alright, so we've got to do the hide helmets. This is a regular hide helmet. Kashyyyk version, Argonian version. Interesting. Argonian vampire, normal race, Argonian. Okay. Race, yep. Copy as a new record into. Enter the prefix that should be removed. Hide helmet. We're going to replace it with hide helmet. Black trim. Just going to drop it into the gar. There we go. Add an alternate texture. Add an alternate texture. Give it a 3D name. These are superfluous from what I can tell. But I like to try and maintain consistency with the style I've seen previously. I'm only making one copy right now because I want to set up all of the relevant structures. So, you know, I make the multiple copies here. Well, I make technically one copy, but I need one for Argonian, one for Kashyyyk, and one for the regular. We create their alternate textures. Then we link to what we did last time, which is the texture files. Let me grab my back pillow thing. I'm sitting in a more natural way. the hetero is here pretty early. Alright, so now we have to link it to, as we mentioned before, our previously created hide helmet texture files. Whoops. There we go. Hide helmet with black trim. Yep, that's the right one. Linking to all three the same. Now, from what I can tell, they don't actually use different textures for the different variants of the helmet. So linking to the same one should be fine. And now we've created our one template, which we will now have to replicate. Oh boy. Well, there's technically 3 files, but we're going to recreate, we're going to copy those 3 files, a total of what? 11 holds, 3 variants, plus the white trim. 34 more times. And that just creates basically the armature, the physical model reference that the game is going to need. Now, if you were doing this the old-fashioned way, where you would create a separate model for each one, all this process is exactly the same. The only thing that you'd be dropping out would be you wouldn't create texture sets. If you had built the models themselves, then you'd be changing this file instead of creating an alternate texture. That's literally the only difference. So, I mean, technically, you could say it's less work to just create a bunch of NIF files, because then you wouldn't have to create, you know, 35 texture sets that we did. We did 35 texture sets just for the hide helmet, but then you have to apply those 35 texture changes to your 35 NIF files. So it's just a matter of whether you want to do it inside or outside the game, and if you do it like I am doing it, then it also produces a lower file size that you're going to upload to the Nexus, or wherever you're going to upload to Steam, Lover's Lab, so forth, so on, ModDB. If you do it this way, it produces a smaller file size because it's only referencing the original helmet that was in the game. You're not creating a new NIF file, and all you're doing is saying, all right, so using the same one, we're going to link to a different texture file. Anyway, did this, copy as a new record into. We're going to be removing hide helmet brown, copying it. That's our baseline, hide helmet, and replace it with hide helmet brown. Nope, did that one wrong. For this one, it'd be a slightly different. Copy the new record into hide helmet brown with black. We want to remove. We want to replace it with hide helmet brown with white. There's some odd. Now the interesting thing is I can actually copy all 6 of these, since hide helmet brown is our key point. Now this, of course, will still be the same, but that's fine. We're going to have to change those anyway. Copy as a new record into. We want to remove hide helmet brown, replace it with hide helmet. In this case, we're going to do East March. Assuming I can capitalize the right sections. Do this one as well. Copy as a new record into hide helmet brown with black, which we want to replace with hide helmet East March with gold. Minimize, maximize. We'll now have the East March set, which you can see is 9 files for our 3 variants. With black trim, with black trim, with gold trim, with gold trim, with white trim. Okay. Everything else looks good. Save. Copy as a new record into. We're going to be doing hide helmet East March this time is our key point. So we're removing. We're going to replace it with hide helmet black. Copy as a new record into hide helmet East March. We're going to replace it with hide helmet Dawn Star. Copy as a new record into hide helmet East March is what we're removing. Hide helmet. Oh boy. Trying to remember all the whole names. Eventually I'll just have them memorized from doing all of this. So we're replacing hide helmet East March with Dawn Star. We'll do Folk Wreath. Copy as a new record into. Remove that one. And let's see. We've done East March, Dawn Star, Folk Wreath. Hajal March is in between them. That's Morthal. I'm going to save Whiterun Winterhold in the white variant because I always do them last just because they're easy to remember. We've got Solitude up in the corner and the Reach down there. We've got Riften over there. Copy as a new record into. Let's do their polar opposite. Solitude. Copy as a new record into. Here's East March. And we're going to do Markarth, the other one in that general area. Markarth. So we've done Markarth, we've done the Reach, done Folk Wreath, done Morthal, we've done Dawn Star, we did Folk Wreath, I mentioned that previously. We haven't done the Rift, we have done East March. Riften. I think we're now down to the big 3. Copy as a new record into. East March. White. A new record into. East March. Whiterun. Copy as a new record into. Winterhold. That should be all of our holds. Alright, so we've got the black helmet, which has 9 files.
Get this, Mark Zuckerberg's looking for computer programmers. He wants to triple foreign workers instead of giving the jobs to American. And Marco Rubio is his senator, the one I like, who he supports. Donald Trump just had a big thing about him. And Donald Trump says that undermines, any minority.
Welcome back, everybody. So, as I mentioned, we have got these 9 variants for our black helmet. For the brown helmet, we only needed 2, which means that there were 6 variants. Dawn Star is another 9. East March is another 9. We've got Falkreath. That's 3 of the 9 holds. Vajal March, 4 of the 9 holds. Markarth, 5 of the 9 holds. Riften is number 6. Solitude is number 7. White is our variant. Winterhold and Whiterun. Yep, that's all of them. Now, of course, our work is not even close to done. This only deals with the hide helmet, not the scaled helmet, which is actually inside the game. The scaled helmet in the textures, meshes, and everything is just called Hide Helmet 01. Or Hide Helmet Heavy. The texture is actually called Hide Helmet Heavy. Anyway, so we've got these, but we're still linking to the old brown with black trim. So this is why I copied all of these, so I would have the 3D name. The model name, of course, is always going to be the same. It would have all the proper race links and all that. But here's what we got to change. This is the black with black trim. Black with black trim, right there. Which is actually the same for all 3 of these files. Which means a bit of copy and paste is always useful. Black with black trim. Black with black trim. Black with black trim. Now to the gold trim one. Copy and paste to grit to the same reference point. Copy. Black with gold trim. Done. Done. And the Khajiit variant. Of course, it still doesn't even get them to be visible in game, which is always kind of annoying when you think about it. This is just so they can have the basic structures they're going to need to be in game. We need the white trim now. Black with white trim. I wish I could look at these as some type of database list, where if everything was just like comma separated, then I could just do a search for. Well, not even I wouldn't do a search, but they should all be linked. Should be able to sort them into similar areas and just be like, okay, replace everything in this block this matches. But unfortunately, not. This is still a lot better than trying to do it at the very end of the creation kit, where you'd have to do each one manually. So, yeah. Much better to do it in here. Brown with black trim, brown with black trim, brown with white trim. Brown with white trim. Brown with white trim. Brown with white trim again. This is going to take forever, isn't it, folks? Because this is only the hide helmet. We still haven't even done the setup for the. And the annoying thing is, theoretically, I could probably just collect all of these things and do a mass renaming from hide helmet to scaled helmet. But the simple fact of the matter is, if I did that, then I'd also have to change not only all of these, but all of these. But at least I'd have all the named files, so. Plus some of these other details may be different. So it's simply much better to do it in the smaller blocks and expand out from there. Kind of annoying, but it's the better process. There really isn't a super easy way of making multiple variants. Dawn Star with black trim. Black trim. Good God, how many of this is this gonna come out to in the end? We had 35 in the original. We have to multiply that by 3 because of the Khajiit and Argonian variants. That means that when we're done with just the hide helmets, we will have done 30, 60, 90, plus 15, 105 armor add-on entries. Just for the hide helmet. Granted, it's not a lot of hard work to do those 105, but still, it's 105 entries. We only hit about 70 entries when we did all of the textures for the 2 helmets. But the armor add-on, since I use a different helmet mesh for Argonians and Khajiit, so they fit those heads a bit better. You know, the fun fact is, if you wanted to make helmets and you were always worried about the clipping issues, you could, in theory, make armor add-on entries that specifically only worked for elves, because elves have, you know, the longer ears, so you would want to make a mesh that's a little bit goes a little bit further back, maybe a little bit further out. But on every other race looks kind of spacey. But you could literally have just gone and done. Okay, it uses these races, you know, elf and the game will just magically be able to link them to the other things. Now, it's not technically magical. You'd have to also go to the armor section itself. So, like, for example, if I pull up... Let's go with the boots, because I did that for the boots. So you can see down here, in the boots, it has 3 armatures. The East March boots white, AA, the East March boots white AAK, that's Khajiit, and the East March boots white AAA, that's for the Argonians. So it's referencing 3 different armatures. So those 3 armatures are linked to this one model, and this is the model that's actually seen in game. That's what's the important part. So the armor is what's in the game. And so if you were to go to the East March boot white, so this one, as you can say, if you look at the actual models that it uses the default race and all of the human races. The AAA is just the Argonian vampire. The AAK is just the Khajiit and Khajiit vampire. So with that, you could make a variant on this, maybe call it E for elf.
One of the guys who got the Paris.
So you could make one say AAF or AAE or whatever. And, you know, just not have these dark elf entries in here and have them in a separate armature file. And that's how you would basically make a variant that works just for the elves. Of course, you'd have to have a separate NIF file that actually has a different armature, but it's certainly an option as opposed to changing the helmets or the boots or whatever specifically for one particular race, and then it being, you know, wide or whatever for the other races. So I know there was one mod that did that. I can't remember what it was called, but it was something like it resized the like glass and whatever helmets so they better fit for elves and whatnot. And the problem was that it didn't fit the same way for other races. The thing is, you could have easily have just altered the original entry, removed the elf entries in here, and put in an AAE entry, and just had that variant in there. And so then each race would fit differently. Bethesda could have done this as well, but for some reason Bethesda decided to go with a more generic design. And, yeah. There's a lot of tweaking you can do here as well. Like, for example, if I were to put in here the entry like ears or whatever, then, but not put it in the armor section, if you take out, if you don't have, if you have ears in the actual armor section, then you won't be actually able to wear earrings or other items that are in the ear slot with that armor. But if it's not in there, then you can wear them, but they won't be visible, because if the entry isn't here, if you don't have, if there's an ears entry here, then it won't show up on the model here. Here, let me try and show you. Pick one of the helmets. Well, technically I'm working on a helmet, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll look at, say, like, the Stormcloak helmet. If we look at the original, where is it? Falkreath helmet. Here we go. Trying to find a good one. Alright, so if you look here in the original, when this is the full, you know, Stormcloak variant helmet, it replaces the head slot. Here it replaces only the hair slot. At one point this also had like ears and whatnot in it. And if you had had the ear slot here, but not the ear slot in the armor section, then you could wear earrings or a circlet, because there's also, you could also add a circlet section. So you can add all these sections, so you could have like circlet tagged here. And if circlet's tagged here, but not in the armor section, you could technically wear a circlet with the helmet, but it wouldn't show up here. By making sure circlet is not here in this section, then you can wear the circlet with this helmet. So if you look here, this only takes the hair slot, so you can actually wear a circlet with this helmet. And that all takes over the ear slot as well, because it's the Khajiit variant. The Argonian one doesn't. Though I suppose, theoretically, I could remove the ear section and you'd see the little Khajiit ears poking out of the helmet. And now I have to think of putting a variant in there that allows you to do that. Ah, well. Alright, so where were we? Dawnstar with black, Dawnstar with gold, Dawnstar with white. Dawnstar with gold, okay. Damn it. Dawnstar with white trim. Now, as I was just mentioning, if you want to actually do a Khajiit variant where you could actually have one version where it covers their ears and one version where it doesn't cover their ears, the big problem you're going to have is you'd have to make a separate armor file. So you'd have to have one armor file that refers to this trio and one armor file that refers to it with the other way around. Of course, you could also do the other thing where, you know, you only use the Khajiit styled helmet, and that may be something I do in the future. So, you know, like, because I have the corseted version of the armors and all that. But that would be such a pain. Well, it's probably something I'm going to do anyway in the future, just to give people the full level of variety. So, you know, you could have someone wearing the Khajiit styled helmet, but oh boy. You can see how this can get quite annoying over time. I think I'll just stick right now with the boots, because I can't really see much reason to do variants on the helmets aside, because really all it's going to be different is how they fit the head, and that's just going to be, is it really worthwhile to set up separate armatures just for different fitting helmets? It seems like a bit of an overkill, but certainly doable. And you see, if I were to do, when I do the eventual boot part of it, all I really have to do is take all the AAK files and basically link all the races to it. So I may just be creating a copy of this and a copy of that, selecting them for all of the types, making a direct copy of it, and then just adding additional races to it. That in itself would be pretty intensive, because you can see I'd have to add a lot of races. You have to add all the regular races plus all the vampire variants. Just have the boot style variants. But as part of my plans, still I won't have to rename files. Alright, we're back to East March. East March with black trim. East March with black trim again. Of course, this doesn't even get us to a point where we can test it in-game. This is all the prep work. Until we actually do the armor sets, we won't actually see them in-game. East March with white trim. Folk wreath. Black trim. Black trim. Folk wreath with the gold trim. Folk with the white trim, that's why I'm looking at this one. And this one is the Shoal March. Shoal March with the gold trim. And Hajjal March with the white trim. How many more do we got left to do? At least it's a nice clean break. This is mark hearth with black. Mark hearth with black trim. Mark hearth with gold trim. Mark hearth with the white trim. Grifton Solitude, white run in winter hold. Alright. Riften with black trim. You can see how this can get kind of boring, can't you? Riften with gold. Riften with gold. Riften with gold. Riften with white. With white. With white. With white again. Home stretch. Solitude with black trim. Solitude with black trim. Solitude with the gold trim, copy, edit, paste. Solitude with the white trim. last sets. Need the actual white with white trim, actually. Because white run is sorted before it in the textures, but not here. White with the gold trim. The gold trim. Almost there. Winter Hold. Okay. Winter Hold with black trim. With black trim. Always kind of interesting to see how it sorts these things. It's not always the same all the time. Usually I see white before white run, but this time, not so much. Winter Hold with gold trim. Gold trim. Gold trim. And our white trim for the Winter Hold. That one, that one, white run, our last 9. That actually went pretty quickly. White run with black trim, there we go. Nine. 8. Actually, technically, it's double that, isn't it? 14. 13. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And we're done. That is all of the hide helmets. Given all of their variants, all 105 of them. And of course, that's just the hide helmet. So now we have to still do the same process for the scaled helmet, which is listed as hide helmet 01 in the creation kit. You can see all their various details here. I may have to end up going through all of these and adjusting that. I don't know what the weapon adjust reference is, but it's -4 in Skyrim and 0 in the unofficial patch, which may have just been an overlook on the unofficial patch or an intentional change. I don't know. In any case, there you go, folks. That's the hide helmet. We still have to do the scaled helmet, and I haven't even begun work on the Imperial helmet, which should actually be in here somewhere. Unless I didn't copy it through to make a... Yep, no, there's the Imperial helmet. And of course, I still have to do the boot variant that I talked about before, which would mean taking all of these AAK files and just making a version that had all the races, which is relatively easy. You'll literally just select all the boot files with AAK and say, okay, I want to make a copy of this, and we'll call it, I don't know, always, or something like that. I could call it AAK always, or whatever. And I do the same thing with the AAA file. Anyway, you get the idea. Anyway, once we've done that, once I've done the scaled helmets, which will probably be the next step, which I'll do off camera, because I know it's kind of boring. I mean, it's 47 minutes of me mostly editing 107 records, or 105 records, whatever. But I'll do the other 105 for the scaled helmet off camera. And then the next time we come back in here to look at modding, we'll be looking in the armor section where we'll have to make the... This one should be relatively easy. We need only 35 helmets. Oh, yes, 35 helmets. Yeah, 35 helmets, because we have the 9 holds, 3 variants, plus the black and whites and their 3 variants, and the 2 variants of the brown helmet. So all of that, we have to make copies in here. And when we make those, we have to actually link into them like we did with the boots. Let me try and find a boot. In the armature, we'll have to link to the 3 versions of the file, hide helmet and all that. And that's primarily what we'll have to do, is we'll use we'll find the hide helmet original in Skyrim. I'm trying to see if I can find it in here. If I've already, yep, yeah, I already made a copy of hide helmet. So I'll be making multiple copies of this, and just changing the AAK files here. Do the same thing with the scaled helmet and Imperial light helmet. And that's about the long and the short of that. So I'll see you next time, folks.